Good afternoon, live from Toronto on the GBKM network. This is the Chatt Up Show, the show where we catch you up with a weekly chat up of our weekly headlines. I'm your host, Elizabeth Eloidy, and I hope that you are ready to chat it up with me today. Now, as always, you can keep up with the GBKM network in various ways. You can listen and watch live at www.gbkm.fm or www.gbkm.tv, where you can also like, share, comment, join in the conversation, and all of that fun stuff. You can also check out on our website more information about your favorite hosts if on our OAP tab. So if you want to learn a little bit more about the on-air personalities, you can check that out on our website. If you happen to miss one of our live shows, not to worry. You can catch up on all of the lovely shows at the past shows tab on our website as well, so you can stay up to date. And if you want to know when a next show is coming up and you want to keep up to date with that for the future, you can also check that out on our website at the upcoming shows tab. Also, if you enjoy what you see and you would love to support the community even more, we're also accepting donations on our website where our merchandise is also sold. So all of this is available at www.gbkm.fm or www.gbkm.tv. You can also continue to watch us on Facebook at GBKM Television, where you can comment, like, share, and all of that good stuff, and YouTube, where you can subscribe and also comment, like, share, all of that good stuff as well, at GBKM TV. You can also follow us on Instagram at GBKMFM and Twitter at GBKM_FM. And exciting news, our app is getting so close and ready to launch. We hope that you are just excited as we are to have this, so you can have all of your favorite hosts on the go with you no matter where you are. You can tune in anytime, anywhere. We will be sure to let you know exactly when that is made public, and you can be able to download that on the Google Play Store or the App Store, whichever one works for you. So some really exciting stuff that's happening for us right here. Exciting. We can't wait. You know, we're rounding out this year in style. And speaking of this year, 2020, every week, I come up on here and say that 2020 has been one of those years. It has been a crazy, hectic, long, fast, quick, short, whatever you want to describe it as. Just so much has happened, but it feels like no time has passed. But then at the same time, it has been the longest time that has passed. Like it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. But one thing that I've been incredibly grateful for is that for the past 47 weeks, I've been sitting in this trusty red chair coming to chat it up with you lovely people at home. And thank you so much to every single one of you that have joined me on this journey and have had me listen to my voice, watched my face, you know, joined in the conversation, all of that, and supported this journey and this show since the very beginning. So I just want to say a big shout out to every single one of you that have been here for the last 47 weeks and have joined along the way and have really become part of the Chatt Up Show family on the GBKM network. I thank you so much for your support. Thank you for tuning in with me. I'm sorry if you're getting sick of my face. I'm so sorry. You're going to see it for a little bit longer. So you're just going to have to deal with it. But I'm so grateful to every single one of you for tuning into the show every single week and making it even more fun and exciting for me to come here and sit in this chair and talk to all of you at home. With that being said, I can't wait to chat up this week's topic with you. It's one that honestly I have been wanting to dive into for a while, but now the opportunity has presented itself. And I'm so excited. Now, the topic is about twerking. Now, for those of you who don't know what twerking is, it's basically just shaking your derriere. That's the simplest definition of it. Of course, later on in the show, we're going to dive into what exactly it is, the cultural roots of this form of dance, and all of that good stuff to really get into the conversation of whether we should normalize twerking in public spaces. Yeah, you heard me. Should we normalize twerking in public spaces? Meaning, should we go to public places and see people shaking their butts, shaking their bum-bums, as my mom would call it, in public? Should we allow that? Is that something that we should be able to see? Is that something we should allow to be part of our culture at large? We're going to dive right into that. But before we get into that topic, restaurants have been in the news quite a bit lately. And for one, there's a local restaurant that has been quite the talk of the town literally. This is the Adamson barbecue spot in Etobicoke that was recently busted for not only breaking lockdown regulations and allowing patrons to dine indoors, which we know is something we haven't been able to do for the last couple of months, but also not enforcing proper social distancing or the mandatory mask bylaws. Now, Adam Skelly, who is the owner of the joint in Etobicoke, was arrested last week after almost a week of, the police coming by, staking out the joint, noticing a gathering crowd outside of protesters who were anti-lockdown. As you know, we recently went on lockdown in Toronto and the Peel regions, and there are some rumors that other parts of the province will also go into lockdown in subsequent weeks, which means that within these regions, indoor dining is not allowed, is not prohibited. We have been subjected to just our takeout and delivery services from now on. And of course, this is something sad that a lot of restaurant owners were not looking forward to, but we also understand that this is what was needed to ensure that we aren't seeing the continuous rise in cases that we are still seeing till this day. Now, Skelly took it upon himself to say, forget those regulations. I have a business that I want to run, I have to pay bills, and I have customers and clients who want to be able to enjoy the indoor services. And he went ahead and continued doing that. Now, of course, this only led to police coming by, giving him warnings, trying to do what they do, give the written warning, give the fine until they noticed that he wasn't really going to adhere to what they were saying. And they finally arrested him, which then led to more people protesting the fact that there is a lockdown going on in Toronto right now in the Peel region. And so far that folks have even started a GoFundMe page to raise funds for his legal fees. Now, let's just talk about what Skelly was violating. It's alleged that he is now facing charges for allegedly operating a business without the proper licensing, which is illegal. Also holding illegal gatherings, again, illegal, and of course violating the indoor dining rules and not adhering to the mask bylaws, all of which are now illegal under these rather temporary, hopefully temporary, because we're hoping that the pandemic will not last for much longer, but laws. They are very much laws that everyone has to adhere to, whether you are a business owner or just a civilian who's just, hosting a party at home, you will still face the same consequences. And I'm not sure why this particular restaurant owner felt that they were above the law and felt that they had every right to go against what is very much a law and very much now illegal. But nevertheless, he was arrested and is facing these charges. And people felt that it was unfair that he has to face such charges and decided to crowdfund for his legal fees, raising almost $300,000 in the space of, just about a week. He was arrested last week, Thursday. Now, the crowdfunding site, GoFundMe, that is hosting this fundraiser has received some backlash from folks who feel that it is unfair for someone who was so clearly in violation of the law and performing illegal acts to receive any kind of funding from anyone, period. That if you do something illegal, you should not be able to crowdfund for your legal fees. You should have thought about that before you participated in illegal activity. Now, that's fair. Some people feel as though it's fair because they feel that, not...
Yo, can I come in quickly?
Yes, of course. This is our producer, Kenny.
Yes, sorry, I always jump in. That's kind of iffy.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you why. Because you can't say it's illegal until a judge says so.
Fair.
So, really and truly, you don't have the legal grounds, I would say. I know I'm not a legal practitioner, but you do not have the legal ground to say it's illegal yet until the judge says so. So I'm saying that maybe if they are not able to cash out with a GoFundMe before the verdict, then that can decide what is going on. But if they're able to cash out before then, it's still, in the eyes of the law, somebody alleged.
Yes. So you're saying that no one should have a problem with them crowdfunding for his legal fees?
If you look at it legally,
Yeah.
it shouldn't be a problem because
Yeah.
it's still not a criminal. The judge still have to say he's a criminal.
Yes, innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, so you don't have the right to say, in my own view, I don't think it would be legal, again, on a legal ground, for GoFundMe to refuse his business.
So these are just the sentiments of some people who feel that he was participating in alleged illegal activities, let's just say that, and they're feeling that GoFundMe shouldn't be allowed to host such fundraising. I mean, at the end of the day, Kenny is right. We don't know until the judge does rule and give the sentencing of what's going to happen to Adam Skelly and his restaurant. But from the evidence that is at play, there are a lot of people who have a lot of feelings about it. You know, there are a lot of people who feel that he shouldn't have even been arrested to begin with, because he had every right to open up his business and run it the way he wanted to, as it is his business. But
If I should weigh in, sorry, I'm kind of stealing your show today, but you always have a beautiful show, and I end up drawing myself into it. But thank you for allowing me to come in.
no worries.
Yes, that's a different discussion, Elizabeth, because yes, there is the government, there's the rules and regulation we all have to follow. But thank God we're in democracy in Canada, so there's a process in which you can be penalized. Until those process is explored, you can't really do anything. Even the judge will have to say, based on the evidence before me. So if on the other hand, are we correct? Is our reaction correct? Yes, he's breaking the law. But unfortunately, we are not in position to be the one to make the calling. So yes, a lot of us are right. Our reactions are good. Yes, he should obey the law. We should follow the law and all that, which is correct. But once that is done, you are no longer on that stage. You now face the boss, which is the judge, that have everything in their hands.
Yeah.
So again, I want to tell you something. No matter how you look at it, Adams is going to be rich, and he's already rich. Even if he doesn't have a GoFundMe, all he got to do is just write a book when it comes out.
He's going to go the book writing route. Is that your suggestion for him, Kenny?
Well, to be honest with you, it's not my suggestion, but looking at the pattern, the way things are going, you find out that in a year from now, his book will be a one of the bestseller.
Yeah.
Because he's going to write about his experience, he's going to start doing talk, he's going to start doing lecturing, and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, the society has transformed a lot of things into different area whereby we are now crafty in way of monetizing. You have somebody that hire you, for example, the case of Donald Trump. Sorry, I bring that in. And then the guy went write a book and said, and the book in 3 days sold millions. And just because of his experience. But to be honest, whether right or wrong, I'm not sure that was the first person experiencing that. But he has a leverage on his position, and he sells those books. And I see Mr. Adams the same way. I see if he's able to raise $300,000.
Yeah, he's
imagine what he will sell in his books.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying here.
Yeah, he definitely has the support of quite a number of people currently, saying that it's not fair that he is being subjected to this, legal battle, if you will. Even our premier, I mean, he came out and said that it's unfortunate what happened, but he also empathizes with business owners who've had to shut down, as there are so many restaurants across the city that have had to shut down.
That's a political statement. It's like, I like you, but I don't like you. I like you. Because if he says
you're wrong,
then he's wrong.
Yeah.
If he say you're right, then he's wrong.
Yeah.
He needs your vote. He needs your support. That's a what I call political ping pong.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that I think it just comes with what's happening right now. There are going to be people who are opposing the lockdown. There are going to be people who may not enjoy it, but are still adhering to the regulations because they feel they have no other choice. And it's hard when you're on the other side and you're looking at someone who's just decided not to pay attention to it and do what they want. But then at the same time, it's also some people are tired.
But keep in mind, our office is in North York.
Yes.
We are in the boundary between P region, I would say, and Toronto. So if you drive 10 minutes from our office here, you're in Woodbridge. Tell me, how is that fair for the businesses in Woodbridge to be open when I can actually just walk down in Woodbridge and shop there?
Yeah.
And bring the virus there if I'm a carrier.
Well, that's why Von Mills received a fine last weekend.
So you're going to try and technically look into the argument Mr. Adams' lawyer is going to make, because this is going to become a technical battle.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be an interesting one because of that very reason, that if you do drive 10 minutes outside of Toronto, the city, there are some businesses that are, I mean, Von Mills, they got a fine last weekend because the mall was able to open, but of course, because it was Black Friday, there were too many people gathering within that confined space, but the mall is still open.
But what are you going to do with the ticket they get? You're going to take it to the court, get to your one of the lawyer that is already on salary anyways, and just go and then knock it off.
Yeah.
So
So what
the
does it
little
do?
people suffer.
Yeah.
To be honest, the little people suffer. That's the argument. You have to understand why people are sympathizing with Mr. Adams. You know, and another part that I will try to throw in, not that this is necessary here, is also going to be a political weapon. The politicians are going to twist it to suit their position, and you can tell it's already taking turns. You know, there are people that oppose the lockdown politically. There are people that does endorse the lockdown politically. So it becomes a political again ping pong.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, those are the updates of what's going on with that situation currently within our home base, if you will. But now we're going to actually move on to the topic of today's discussion. Now, what actually sparked this topic for today's Chat Up was a restaurant south of the border in Dallas, Texas, whose owner was caught on video, as some would describe, chastising his patrons for their quote-unquote bad behavior. Now, ignoring the fact that they're able to dine indoors, first of all, I'm a little jealous, not gonna lie. There was a video that came out that this owner was basically telling his patrons that they need to learn how to behave in his establishment the way he sees fit, or they can get up and go because he does not need his money. Now, instead of just telling you, I will just show you and let you hear the words from the owner of True Kitchen Cocktails in Dallas, Texas, yourself. Here's the video.
I invested a lot of money into buying this building, into developing this concept so black people can have somewhere nice to go to, okay? Somewhere where we can feel good about ourselves as a... Come on! Stop the music, please! Somewhere where our people can feel good about ourselves as a culture, okay? No, real talk. And so all this twerking and take it to crime, take it to pink, don't bring it here because we're a restaurant. And so beyond that, 75% of my customers are ladies. And I want men to show respect for themselves for how they carry themselves here. So how can I tell the men to respect themselves and you guys are twerking on glass here? If you want to do it, get the out my restaurant. Because I did it for our people and I did it for our culture. So don't do it now. Don't do it again. I don't want to hear it. If you don't like it, get out because I don't need your money. I need to provide something for my people. And don't do it again. Thank you.
So in that video, you hear owner of True Kitchen Cocktails, Kevin Kelly, telling patrons that this is not the time or the place to be twerking, especially since they were actually twerking and standing on his furniture in some of the videos that followed suit. Now, this video initially surfaced on social media on Sunday after the incident by customers who were there to witness what happened. And a lot of people had a lot to say, but before we dive into what people were feeling about this, let me just give you guys all of the video content that was presented in this case, if you will, of whether twerking should be allowed in a restaurant establishment. So the first video we're going to show is of one angle of a patron standing on the furniture, on the chair, and choosing to shake her derriere. As you can see, she's holding onto the glass table, and just as the video cuts off, we see Kevin Kelly approaching said patron in hopes of trying to tell them to stop twerking. Now, in this next video here, we are seeing Kevin Kelly essentially plead with patrons in a video surveillance from the restaurant not to twerk in his establishment because that was not the vibe that he wanted to go with. Again, doing the national sign or international sign for begging and saying please, trying to explain himself, as he said in his Instagram post, that he was trying to beg patrons not to do the, be twerksome in his restaurant. And again, this next video also showing another angle of him approaching more patrons. Now this is separate from the table next to the first one, trying to tell them to stop twerking. And this is right before he went on to his, speech, if you will, of why he created the space for Black people and what he was hoping it would be, a safe place for Black people to go and to enjoy themselves, but not a place for them to be twerking up on the furniture. Now, I feel like Kenny has something to say.
Sorry, I definitely want to jump into this.
Yes, okay.
I'm gonna try and come in a 3D manner.
Okay.
I'm born and raised in Africa, Nigeria. I came to Canada as an adult. So the cultural part of me is what I'm going to speak from right now.
Okay.
Looking at things culturally, some people may say, okay, well, you shouldn't do that. That's not proper. That's improper. Depends on I would say, what you deem to be proper in the public space. That's number one. And the other part of it is that from the video you just showed, it shows that he was speaking to more than one person.
Yes.
So that gets to say that I don't believe those people planned it from their home to come and twerk. So the question now is, what is the engineering the twerking? Because you cannot ask me not to twerk when you are putting me in a position to twerk.
Oh, really, Kenny?
Yeah, because if like every songs, to be honest, that's the second part I'm explaining, but I'm going to the third one. Every song has a dance move. Nowadays, remember I started from where I'm from. These generations, they have their swag, how they move to the song. So that also can be what I call aiding and abetting. You can be encouraging it when you say by law you are not doing it, but you are encouraging it. That's one part. The other third part, which is making it like it's going to look like I'm speaking from both sides of my mouth, but it's clear that we all know what we are dealing with. The owner has the right to say, this is what I want in my establishment, this is what I don't want in my establishment. That's why it's also important for those clients or customer, whatever patron you call them, to know when to, draw the curtain to say, okay, now I'm going to stop here, since the owner is taking it a little bit far. However, if you own a place, like I said, and you don't want me to dance, and you have a loud music banging, what if my favorite tune come on?
Yeah, well, I mean, the argument there, though, is you are grown. You should be able to control yourself in public settings. Now, that is just the other side of that. That's the point that was actually brought up by a lot of people on social media is, if you don't want people twerking, why do you have a whole DJ set up playing, twerkable music out loud on full speaker, full display, ready to be listened to and twerked to, essentially? Now, in the Instagram post on the restaurant's official Instagram and also on Kevin Kelly's personal Instagram, it went on to say that guests at issue were at 3 different tables. And as the video shows, you will see guests spoken to politely and literally begged to stop standing on our furniture and twerking. Now, this is where some people found issue in the twerking itself is, if you stand up at your table, you do a little 1-2. I'm not going to twerk for y'all. Not today, okay? But if you do a little 1-2, you stand up at your table, you sit back down. But it's the act of getting up on the furniture in a public establishment where people are eating and enjoying their food that seemed a little bit too disrespectful and felt like it was crossing the line just a little bit too much. And that it was understandable that, after 3 times he'd given warnings, fourth time he was sick and tired of it, and he felt that he had to address it as a larger issue. Now, what then also went on to get a lot of, negative feedback for the restaurant and the owner especially was because he was cussing at his customers. And as a business owner, you want to be able to keep some level of professionalism when interacting with certain customers and patrons. No matter how frustrated you are, at the end of the day, if you do something bad, it's going to reflect on you and your business. They're not going to look at the patron doing something, and that's what essentially happened. People forgot about the women standing on the furniture, twerking and touching the glass to hold themselves up, and instead focused on his delivery of his message. Now, what do you think about that, Kenny?
To be honest, a little bit of home training goes a long way. That's how I started with my African upbringing, right? So there are a little bit of home training, just like when you have a soup without no salt. Home training is like a salt to a food. It's clearly, in my opinion, I wasn't there from what I saw, that there was some home training practically missing in this very, very situation because you should know when to call to stop. However, let me repeat this, very, very important. It's paramount we understand that customer is always right. Yes, to be honest, I know I'm on air, and what I'm saying is totally my own opinion, not your show's opinion. This is my own opinion. Sometimes some customer is overbearing. It's very hard. You just have to go to the washroom and wash your face and do your Lord's Prayer and say, if I die, I die, or something. Just whatever that can make you de-escalate, you just have to do it. I don't know if this was this type of customers. However, no matter what it is, customer is always right. He should have handled it better.
And it was in his delivery that a lot of people had issue, because there's no reason you should tell people,
Yeah, but
don't stay, I don't need your money.
But
all of that.
again,
Yeah.
when you see a video, you just show like 3 video back to back, 3 different times
Yeah.
that this gentleman came and made his intention clear, and you still want to keep violating at some point. When are you going to stop?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's be on both shoes
of
now.
course.
At some point, when are you going to stop? And now you keep, let's put it this way, you keep hitting me. When I hit back now, you say, oh, because I've been training, I have muscles, I hit back, I'm guilty. But you've been hitting me. So let's look at it from both. There's enough blame to be shared. However, customer is always right. He did not handle it right. I would have handled it differently if I was in his shoe, which I hope I will not be one day. However, it's always good that a little bit of home training, a little bit of salt in the soup, not too much salt.
Just a little bit.
A little bit would
little
be good.
dash. Now, a lot of people felt that his rant was very anti-Black, and especially anti-Black women, that he was chastising Black women especially, essentially saying, if y'all don't know how to act, please get out of my establishment. Now, as you said, as a business owner, he has every right to, speak up, especially having given personal warnings to the people who were, participating in the twerkathon, if that's what we can call it. He did go up to the individual tables trying to resolve the issue, and then he decided that he wanted to address this at large so that everybody is clear and understands the reason behind the establishment, that this was supposed to be a place where Black people felt safe to enjoy high-class dining experience, be comfortable within their own space, enjoying food and music that is part of their culture, that they can appreciate, that they can relate to, but also understanding and recognizing that at the end of the day, it is a restaurant, it is a business, that they are not the only customers there. There are others who are also enjoying their meals and maybe do not want to see some booty shaking in their face.
There's what we call social contract. No matter what it is, there's what we call social contract. And many a time, because of the rights of the customer and so on, it's been abused many, many times.
Yeah.
And I think the consumer proposal and many other things have to be re-looked into. Things have to gradually change in a way, because I've seen situations whereby bar attendants, let's take it for example, they have been abused verbally and otherwise. And this bar attendant is still compelled to be humble, compelled to be polite.
Anybody in the service industry, honestly.
So look at that. What if it was your wife or your husband, your child? What if it was I sit there sometimes, I'm like, is it okay? Is what you're doing, is it right? So there's enough blame to share. And I hope these people are watching this show and they can see this and look into both aisles. We
angles,
tend to look one way,
Yeah.
Elizabeth. We have to look both ways and say, okay, see, every action trigger a reaction. That's all I'm trying to say here.
And that's very true, that there is blame on both sides, and it's not just one person that should receive all the blame. And I mean, just judging by the response on social media, I mean, on Twitter, a lot of people were coming.
But guess what? A lot of people are I hate playing the race card. Okay, there was no race card when you were doing things, and I was coming 3 times to tell you. Now I'm reacting. Now I pull in the last card and play it. I think it's too cheap, in my opinion. I mean, there are bad people, there are racists, there are a lot of things out there. That was the case, then that's not nice.
Is this referring to people saying that his reaction was anti-Black?
Yeah. Because what about what triggered the reaction? Is that anti-white? What about that? So the point is that there are bad people, there are good people.
Yeah.
But if you're wrong, you're wrong, you're right, you're right.
Yeah.
Until you come to my face and really put it on like you're a racist, then I give it back to you like, you know what? I have the same right like you. But not when you vehemently refuse to obey the social contract, to be honest. And the guy was not right the way he approached it. But both of them are wrong. I know 2 wrongs don't make it right.
Yeah.
But at some point, when do we draw a line?
Yeah. Now, with that being said, we're going to take a quick break, and we're actually going to dive into that whole racial, cultural side of this conversation when we're back. Stay tuned.
Getting these professionals to come on board as a program from Nigerian Canadian Association, Greater Toronto Area.
This is an event you don't want to miss. See you there.
My name is Kemi Amushon, President, Nigerian Canadian Association.
My name is George Chukwu, aka Bluetooth George, Vice President, Nigerian Canadian Association.
I'm also known as Lady K, and what are we doing today? We are bringing you a program that you will all love.
Most of Nigerians that come here that have teacher certificate in Nigeria, when they come to Canada, usually they do not know how to be able to navigate themselves to get the kind of job that they love.
They don't really realize that being a teacher in Canada is actually a very good paying job. It's a professional job. Nigerian Canadian Association in Greater Toronto area, we are bringing professionals to come and talk to you about how you can actually navigate this process and become a teacher in the Greater Toronto area. This is happening
on December 5th, 2020. This particular program will show you how to, put your application together and then the interviewing process in order to become a teacher here in Canada.
Yes, that means the first Saturday, it is information session on how you can actually apply to be a teacher, while the following Saturday, it's for you, the application process, the interview process, everything is going to be broken down for you. And we are getting these professionals to come on board as a program from Nigerian Canadian Association, Greater Toronto area.
This is an event you don't want to miss.
Hello and welcome back to the Chatt Up Show. I'm your host, Elizabeth Oloidi, and today we've been discussing whether twerking should be normalized in public spaces. Why we're discussing this topic was because of the events that went on at a Dallas, Texas restaurant called True Kitchen and Cocktails this past weekend, where the owner, Kevin Kelly, had a whole speech after warning his patrons not to be twerking on his furniture, twerking in his establishment, went on to say that if you cannot control yourself and you do not know how to act within his restaurant, he does not need your money and that you should find your way out. Exit stage left. And now, we've kind of been talking about both sides of this argument, as a lot of people have shared their opinions on social media. Many people saying that the owner had no rights to quote unquote chastise his customers, paying customers at that, especially when he himself was the one that created the ambiance of, twerkable music, allowing a DJ to play a lot of those big, beats, heavy songs that has anybody wanting to groove and move in his restaurant. And if he didn't want people twerking, maybe he should have figured out how to play some other genre of music. And then on the other side, folks were saying that he had every right to let his customers know how they should react. And as our producer and President Kenny had said, that there is a social contract in certain places that decorum on how to act within these public spaces. Now, this then went on to a whole conversation about how twerking has been demonized within the Black culture and that it's just a dance. Why is there such a big uproar about it when it's seen? Why do people feel so strongly about it? So we're going to dive into a little bit more of the history of this dance, where it came from, and why we're talking about twerking so much and why we're seeing it so much in our media. Now, historically and currently, actually, similar styles of, booty shaking dance moves are found throughout the continent of Africa, as well as the African diaspora. Now, these similar styles of dance are known as the Mapuka in Ivory Coast, which is known colloquially as la danse du fessière, or the dance of the behind, which, if you know what twerking is, you know that that's a pretty clear definition. Or the Lombol in Senegal, the Ditulomboya, a dance that is of Sesotho language of South Africa. And there are other styles that can be found in Tanzania, in Southeast Nigeria, Uganda, and Kenya, just to name a few countries that we see some form of twerking. Growing up as a Nigerian woman, moving your hips in a certain way was part of how we dance. But I feel like now, in the way that cultures often adapt and form their own versions from different, inspirations, twerking has become a little bit more than what I knew of it when I was growing up. It's become a little bit more let's just say sexualized. Let's be quite honest with you. That's what it is. You know, a lot of people see it as a very sexual dance that should not be performed in public spaces. It definitely should not be performed in a restaurant and should be kept to the clubs, to the privacy of your own home, not out in public. You know, some people have said that you don't see people twerking at funerals. However, that might not be entirely true because in some regions of Africa, it is a local dance and it is has very deep cultural roots, and there are people who train in this form of dance and do perform it at special events. Now, this style of pelvic and hip isolating dancing is also associated to reggaeton from Puerto Rico. So it's found its way off the continent and across the world, in the Caribbean as well, and in Latin American dancing. So twerking can essentially be found in almost every culture, save from, you know, European and maybe Asian cultures. If you count belly dancing as a form of twerking, I'm not sure if it is, it's more the belly movement than the hip and derriere moving around. But, you know, we see twerking happening in a lot of cultures across the board. So there are some deep cultural roots of this style of dancing, and it's not something new. It's definitely not something that popped up last week. It's been around for a while, at least over a century. So that's why a lot of people feel that the restaurant owner, Kevin Kelly, coming out and saying that you can't act this way, you can't dance this way, was unfair and anti-Black, as they called it, because it is part of the Black culture to twerk.
Okay. Can I come in here?
Yes.
Let's really be clear.
Yeah.
Here, there's a reason why there's a strip club. There's, even though there's music there, people don't strip anywhere they go. Okay.
Not legally.
Yes. So there's a reason why there's different locations from different kind of music or whatever it is. That's number one. I don't think it's African or it's Black when somebody stand on the chair. The chair across the world that I have known is designed to be sat on. It's not to climb and dance. That's number two. Let's get that clear. Number three, everything has a like what we call moderate. Anything that is done excessively, no matter what, if it's sleep, drink, dance, anything, if it's excessive, then it become very abusive. Dancing is, you can dance with your behind. It becomes twerking when you are aggressively involved with your behind. And now some people, based on where you are raised, your religion, your ethnicity, your belief, your definition to that can be varies. But because we live in a society where, for example, Toronto is a melting pot, you want to live and abide with the social contract, where you know that this, my neighbor here, may not be from my background. What is acceptable to everybody. So I believe the problem here is knowing, again, when to draw the curtain to say enough is enough.
Yeah.
Once again, my own way of looking at it, dancing with your behind is dancing. Going aggressively with your behind is twerking.
Some may say there's no difference there, though.
Well, I'll tell you. Twerking, just like the name goes. Look at it, twerking.
It's twist and jerking combined,
Okay.
by the way.
Then you see the sexual part of it. Like, I don't want to speak like I'm 375 years old. But I don't see myself having some woman in that, and like, you know, you watch that, they take it so, as a matter of fact, some of this video you watch is not even twerk, it's erotic. That's how aggressive it is. And I know I'm sound like I'm extremist now when I'm liberating erotic, and there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you like. But whatever, what is the most important here? You must at all time identify where you are, who is in your surroundings, and yield to the social contract.
Because at the end of the day, like, what are you doing it for? Like, who are you doing that for? Why are you doing it in such a public space that wasn't really created for dancing? This is a restaurant. It's, you sit down, you enjoy a meal. I bet you
if it was done in a location designed for that, or that attract that kind of traffic, I don't think it will be in the social media or it will be in the news.
Yeah.
So it's clearly mispriorities here.
Yeah. I hear that. But just back to the discussion of the roots and the twerking and its cultural roots in Africa and the African diaspora. It's not that it's not seen as provocative, even in the cultures that started in.
Let me stop you there. I'm an African.
Yeah.
The roots and the origin, in my own belief, now I'm not an expert in this area, I don't think it was this aggressive.
Yeah, that's what I want to get to.
Yeah, I don't think it was this, permit me to use this word, abusive. It could be very abusive to who that is, he that is watching it, that is not really in line. Because again, I strongly believe in social contracts. I believe a lot in social contract because that's the only thing that can guide everybody ethically. So if I arrive in an environment, I must understand, first of all, what is allowed, what is not allowed in that environment. Yeah. So the point here is that the way in Benin, I'm from Benin City, Edo State, Nigeria. I'm proud Nigerian man, arrogantly Edo man. And we dance with our behind. We do. And it's done in the open. But there are a set of people that lately has involved and they have changed it into twerking. And then you see people like us that is 500 years old. We look at people and I'm like, this is really out of our generation.
This is too much.
Yeah, it's a little bit too much. So the thing is that I don't know how it's going to look 300 years to come because,
I mean, even over 2 decades ago, the public performance of the modern mapuka, which is the Ivory Coastian dance, by groups that were called the Killers or Les Tueurs, was actually outlawed in the 1980s by the government because they felt that it was too provocative to be danced in public. And this is mapuka is like the traditional dance in Ivory Coast, right? It's a traditional dance for certain groups.
If you roll back a little bit, Elizabeth, and I'm not very sure of what I'm saying, don't take me, but I'm believing if you roll back, you will see where mapuka took a wrong turn. And this is what led to the government intervening.
Yeah.
Originally, it was not like that.
Yes.
See, the whole of Ivory Coast, all those areas in Africa that are the areas that have those provocative way of dancing, right? Most time what happened was that it was infiltrated and it was kind of twisted. And if you look at it, they're all riverine area. Those areas are in the seaports in Africa. Look at the areas where there is seaport in Africa. You will see that these things are area there. Because what has happened was that a lot of people, like all those tourists or those colonial masters that came there, they use those things for entertainment.
Yeah.
And then now, because of the need of pushing the envelope, you get to this level, you want to push the envelope. Some artists performing naked the other day. So they want to push the envelope. And I believe, in my own submissive opinion, that's how we get to where we are. Originally, it wasn't like that.
Yeah. And I would say that the Ivorian government agreed with that sentiment, that it got to a point that now it was too much, and they cited that lewdness was the reason behind the ban of this popularized dance during the 1980s. Of course, this then went away once the government was toppled by military in the 2000s, and the dance was welcomed back and performed legally once again. But that just goes to show that even within cultures that these dances had originated from, maybe not originating for the provocative reason, maybe for other cultural reasons that are highly respected back then, over time they have turned into what we see now as the very provocative dance that is twerking. I mean, one cannot deny that it's a provocative dance. It's almost like a mating call.
I asked a lady the other day, she goes, it's very fine, twerking is good. I said, how will you feel if your husband and a stranger got to the dance floor, dance with your husband and twerking heavily? She goes, I'll kill somebody. I'm like, okay. So imagine, I said, you should be thanking God that you're alive, because I've seen you done that many times. So the point here is that people fail to put themselves in other people's shoe, and that's just on the normal ground. But I'm not talking about people that actually use it for their daily living, to make money. To make money. That's not even where I'm going from. Because that way you can actually hire them to suit your needs.
And it's an art form.
It's an art form, and then that's you choose to be there and blah, blah, blah. But I'm talking about when you're on the dance floor. I dance with my partner, and maybe again because I'm too old, but I dance with my partner respectfully if I have to dance.
Leave enough room for Jesus, right?
Yes, I mean, I cannot afford that suffocating part of it. Like, it's not really my thing. It may be a cultural thing, but that's how I see it.
And it's true. I mean, there are a lot of people who feel the exact same way, that there is a time and place. Now, I want to cite when Miley Cyrus came out and decided that she also wanted to partake in, I guess, the culture of twerking, and went on the 2013 VMA stage and started twerking on a very married father, Robin Thicke, for the whole world to see. And a lot of people came out and said that that was incredibly inappropriate. Many saying because she was a white woman who was appropriating the culture of a black dance. We're not going to get into that whole cultural appropriation side of it, because that's a whole chat for another day. But a lot of people felt that it was very inappropriate for her to do that kind of dance with someone who is publicly married and is a father as well. And she is a 20-something-year-old young woman out here twerking, not leaving enough room for Jesus, on a public stage.
It is obvious there is a cultural gap.
Yeah.
And it's obvious that the definition of entertainment, in my own submissive opinion, is getting impaired. The way we see entertainment and the approach and our understanding of entertainment is different.
Yeah.
And not only the quest for seeking publicity,
Yeah.
the quest of seeking going viral has taken different turn, that people can do a lot of things just to go viral.
Clout is a hell of a drug.
And this is why, you see, when you started this discussion just now, I was talking about Adams. One thing that the media has not realized is that they are the worst judge on earth. If Adam go to court now and the court said he's free to go, the media still won't forgive him. The story will still be on Google. It will still be everywhere you find it. Whether he's guilty or not guilty, the story is already there. And that's becoming something that is destroying a lot of people. People are losing jobs. People are not finding jobs. People are getting fired for this thing. So it's becoming, it's a bigger issue than it is, I wanted to say.
So when it pertains to this whole twerking debate, do you think that the media also played a part? For example, in the Miley Cyrus situation, where she was at the VMAs, which is known for its over-the-top, extravagant performances. You know, people, Lady Gaga showed up in a whole dress made out of meat for the VMAs.
That's why I said they pushed the envelope. They pushed the envelope. Look at, was it Tiwa Savage?
Yes.
The other day, she's 40, right?
Yeah.
She has to compete. She has to compete with this young artist coming from Africa and the other people. She has to go nude or go half nude. She has to push the envelope, in my opinion. So the point here is that that's what I'm talking about. The media is fighting on both ends. They can make you or break you.
Yeah.
And people, when they're in the verge of making it, they want to push the envelope regardless of what it is. How can a 20-year-old be rocking a married man in the public arena knowing that the wife may be watching, the children may be watching? That's clear. To me, that's an adult molestation. That's my opinion.
Wow. I don't even know how to respond to that one.
Well, if you have a child molestation, you can have adult molestation.
I mean,
too.
it depends of whether there was a conversation of consent before that went down, I think.
Well, yes, I agree with you, but yes, I don't mean it in that consent where there's actual molestation. I'm just trying to say that sometimes some people
It's disrespectful.
Some people don't really think it through. They just, because of the selfish interest and the need and desire to push the envelope, because remember, the media is like a vacuum.
Yeah.
You keep taking. You cannot feel it. You give it, you need more. You give it, you need more. Once upon a time, women come, they don't even make up, and we accept them, we love them, we like them. Nowadays, if there's no foundation, contour, and many other things that they add to it, so many men would say, oh, she's not pretty. There are very few genuine men like me that will say this is a natural beauty and that need to be appreciated.
But culture changes, culture transforms and it evolves.
But will you agree that if you are not careful with the involvedness, you may miss the core value of it? The message overall can be impaired.
Yes.
So we need to be conscious of how we're going with the new trend, so that we won't lose the cultural value by doing that. Then at the end, losing the cultural heritage.
Yeah. That's very true. I mean, now we're seeing kids who are also
Take for
participating
example,
in these dances.
Caribana. A lot of people go to Caribana, they don't even know why they're there. They just go and shake and shake and shake. You ask them where is the origin of Caribana? I can tell you a lot of people don't know.
They're just there to see scantily clad women
That's it.
And they don't even know why women are dressed that way.
A lot of guys come all over the world. We make a lot of money in Toronto when there's Caribana. People come all over the world just to see nudeness, to see people, again, kind of twerking. They don't know their origin.
Yeah.
And by so doing, the cultural value is impaired.
Yes.
The lesson that it was designed to teach us is aborted completely.
That is something that I will hear, especially when it pertains to Caribana, because I have a lot of, Caribbean friends who have constantly and maintained that you cannot essentially bastardize their culture because you are distracted by what they're wearing, that there's a reason for it, that there's a cultural reason behind why they have carnivals and they celebrate in this way. But now people are forgetting that there was a reason for it and getting distracted by,
But because the original reason started derailing from them started monetizing it. Remember, the market has a desire, has a need. For you to sell a brand or a product, you have to fit to what the market needs. But it wasn't designed to be monetized. It was designed to teach us. By the time you start monetizing it, this bank start buying it, that bank start buying it.
You start to lose value.
A lot of artificial stuff, cultural inflammation, you start adding it to give it flavor, which will in turn become fake flavor and will generate another taste of that culture.
Now, with this discussion, I kind of want to just bring it back to the original issue of this topic, was the restaurant. And that, as I said, cultures evolve, cultures change. And I feel like so many people want twerking to be normalized in public spaces, want it to be something that if you see it, you don't even bat an eye. But is that realistic? Will that ever happen?
But again, the first thing to get into that discussion, I'm going to bring you back again. I'm not trying to get away from the original topic. Everything has a beginning. Twerking is a culture.
Yeah.
That's why I'm bringing culture to this discussion. You know what I mean? And if we don't identify where it starts going wrong, we're going to keep going on, that we are going to lose the value and then go down the drain. That's number one. Should twerking be banned? No. The aggressive twerking should be treated as a street club, in my own opinion. This is just my opinion. But you can twerk if you are that guy that can handle mild one like me, like you just dance with me and that's about it. But if you want to go all out like I see some people do, I think they should have their own location where they do that, just to make people like us, still live a life of normalcy.
Do you think that it's because of the media and it's because we're becoming desensitized to it now? I mean, as I mentioned before, you're seeing kids participating in these dances on social media, thinking that it's all well and funny, it's good, it's cute, it's what's going to get them that social media clout, fame that they're looking for.
To be honest, the ship has sailed.
Yeah.
We can only just try and stay to
trying
a little
to
bit.
reel it in a little.
But this ship has sailed already. There's no way I can tell my children what I'm saying now. I bet you a lot of people are listening to me and they'll be like, this old man is insane. This ship has sailed. But at the end, everything comes from the nature. Everything is going to go back to normal at some point when we hit the ceiling. We're going to go back to normal again because you push and push. When we were growing, there's so many dresses we meant that was beautiful at that time. Now, with those kind of materials, you can sell 10 of that dress because they just do it half. Some people will say it's half. It's different. It's really different nowadays. And they tell you, you know what? They have right to dress the way they like. You have right to look or not to look. You're correct. You're 100% correct. But we are all normal. We are all human beings and we get to behave in a way. I believe in social contracts a lot. Just identify where you are and try to suit what's going on there.
But then there's also the question now, just to be like, on the other side of it, that people are saying, why are you then sexualizing this dance that has cultural roots? Why are you allowing it to be sexualized? Because there's some people that might feel that way, that like it's you within yourself that you're judging the dance for what it is, instead of just seeing it as an expression or an art form.
First of all, you have to know the origin and see if what you see is the same as the origin. Second of all, if it's not the same, you have to now know. And remember one thing: no matter what tribe are you, what religion are you, what race you are, wrong is wrong, right is right. Fundamentally, you know what is really right, what is not wrong.
Yeah.
So you kind of know, except you want to fake it and say, you know what, this is a little bit explicit. I won't like my children. I have an artist in Africa, I don't want to mention the name, that I love so much. But I don't watch the video. Because I can't even handle the video. It's too raw. My kids, sometimes I don't even I can't allow them to see it. But the music is so good.
I think it's a lot of artists, let's be honest, that the music videos just seem a little too explicit for, just casual consumption. Like, it feels a little weird that I would pop this video up open on like a Wednesday morning and engage in it. It just is too much graphic content out there nowadays.
And then look at the trend. I'm not trying to go away from what we're discussing, but I'm just trying to tie more examples into it. Look at all the videos that these guys shoot. It's like they're selling women. The woman is naked, some pouring oil on them and all those things. Dude, that's our mom. That's our sister.
Yeah. But then it's also, we had this discussion
because
a few
of the
weeks
market.
ago.
Because of the market.
And what sells, but then it's also like, is this a form of we've had this conversation before on the show. Is it a form of empowerment as well for those women to say, this is my body, this is it, I'm comfortable showing it to the whole world, and this is what I want to show to the world.
In my opinion, I may sound too old, that's what they make you feel, but the truth, in my opinion, this is my personal opinion, they're deregulating you. They just make you feel like it's my body, I'm pretty, I got to show it to the world, and so on and so forth. But they're deregulating you, because why are these guys not doing that to themselves? Why is the guy not coming front and twerking and then making a home music video? You think women don't like guys that are doing that too? Why are they not doing that? Because it's monetized. They want people to buy. A lot of guys has money. Remember in the past, it's just changing. A lot of guys go to work, they make more money, and blah, blah, blah. Many part of the world, guys make more money than women.
Still,
Maybe not in Canada, but many part of the world. So they have the power to spend money. So you have to sell to them to spend more money. And they always spend money on what entices them.
Yeah.
So it was monetized. In my own, again, I keep saying my submissive opinion.
It's still for the male gaze at the end of the day. That
If
a lot
you
of
look at it critically, look between the crack. Who is buying them?
And I think that's even why Kevin Kelly mentioned it. He's like, the men here, I expect them to hold themselves to a certain decorum and respect the women who come in here. But then when you're busy twerking on furniture for the whole restaurant to see, how can he then,
I tell people all the time.
That is iffy, but, that's essentially what he was trying to say in his video.
I tell people all the time, Elizabeth, once again, this is the last thing I'll say because I don't want to dominate your show, but thank you.
No
you
worries.
teach people how to treat you. Whatever you told me your name is Elizabeth, I told you my name is Kenny, you call me Kenny, isn't it? You teach people how to treat you. These women or these men have to start teaching people how you want them to. So if you tell me you are a twerker, when I need a twerker, I come get you to twerk. Thank you for having me.
On that note, I think that's a great way to sum up this topic of discussion. I think it's definitely interesting just thinking back to the cultural roots and how it's evolved. It started off in New Orleans, twerking that we know today. Started off with New Orleans with the bounce music and has evolved to what we're seeing today and seeing it more on mainstream platforms. And it seems that we're getting used to the idea of people twerking, but then it's also still understanding what it really means to be performing these dances in public spaces. Whether or not it should be normalized, that's still up for debate. Some people say yes, some people say no. Some people say that why would you ever want to be twerking in a public space anyway, because what is that going to do for you in general? If you're not making money from it, why are you doing it? But it's neither here nor there. I think that we've had a fruitful conversation about what it really means in public arenas to be twerking and the cultural roots and values of what this dance, and sometimes seen as an art form, really means to certain cultures and how it's evolved over time, as many cultures do. Of course, we do want to hear about your opinions, and if you do have one, do not be afraid to share it with us. We definitely are interested to hear a little bit more about what you guys think. But on that note, that does conclude our show for today. As always, you know that you can keep up with the GBKM network in various ways. As you know, you can continue to listen and watch live at www.gbkm.fm or www.gbkm.tv, where you can catch up on past shows, you can check out the upcoming shows, you can also donate to help grow our community, as well as purchase some merchandise. You can follow us on Instagram at GBKMFM and Twitter at GBKM_FM. Again, we are still in the middle of a pandemic, so please continue to stay safe, wash your hands, wear your masks, socially distance. You know, in Toronto, we're still on lockdown, so please continue to stay safe and stay healthy and do what you need to take care as the holiday season is quickly approaching. With that being said, as well, for us at GBKM, you can continue to watch us live on Facebook at GBKM Television and YouTube at GBKM TV. You can follow me, your host, on Instagram and Twitter at TIS_Liz_O to get more updates on the Chatt Up Show and to just keep up with me. And with that, I say I'll see you next week, same time, same place. Take care.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kemi Amushan, known as Lady K, President, Nigerian Canadian Association, Greater Toronto Area.
Hello, my name is George Chukwu, also known as Bluetooth George, the Vice President of Nigerian Canadian Association. Recently in Nigeria, we understand and we saw, the NSAS movement based on the police brutality that has been going on for many years. And we know that so many youths have suffered a lot. And we just want to let you know that from here in Canada, our hearts are with you and we are behind you in whatever that you are pursuing.
As we all know, this year has been so challenging for everyone. Parents, grandparents, and children, grandchildren, all alike. So we at Nigerian Canadian Association, we want to ensure that this period, at least the children, the grandchildren, the great-grandchildren, they are able to have a feel of what celebration is all about.
And also, we know also that the elders, most of them have not been able to go out and they are all at home. So we in Nigerian Canadian Association, we want to reach out to the elders to make sure that every one of you feel the love that we have for you. You are our pioneers. You are the one that laid the foundation for us. So our hearts are with you and we are going to be reaching out to you this holiday period to make sure that that warmness and the love that we